Turkey's President Erdogan has made a bold move, announcing support for Sweden's bid to join NATO while demanding progress on Turkey's own EU accession. In a high-stakes diplomatic maneuver, Erdogan emphasized the need for reciprocity and urged EU countries to open the doors for Turkey, setting the stage for crucial discussions at the NATO summit in Vilnius. In an anticipated development, President Tayyip Erdogan announced on Monday that Turkey's parliament would approve Sweden's bid to join the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, military alliance if the European Union, EU, opens the way for Ankara's accession to the bloc. Turkey's aspirations for EU membership were put on hold for several years after membership talks began in 2005 during Erdogan's first term as prime minister. Speaking at a press conference in Istanbul before heading to Vilnius, Lithuania, for a NATO summit, Erdogan stated, "Almost all of the NATO member countries are now members of the EU. I am calling out to these countries that have kept Turkey waiting at the door of the EU for over 50 years, but I will also call out to Vilnius." He continued, "First, let's pave the way for Turkey in the EU, and then we will pave the way for Sweden just as we did for Finland." Erdogan indicated that he would express these views and make the demands while meeting with leaders on the sidelines of the summit, according to the state news agency Anadolu. Later in the day, the Turkish president mentioned that he would hold a trilateral meeting with NATO Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg and Sweden's Prime Minister Ulf Kristersson, stating, "As for Sweden, the process continues. Our relevant institutions maintain their contacts with their Swedish counterparts in a transparent and well-intentioned manner." However, Erdogan reiterated that Sweden's NATO membership is dependent on the fulfillment of issues outlined in a tripartite agreement signed last year in Madrid during a NATO summit. He added, "As Turkey, we are tired of repeating that we need to fight terrorist organizations and their extensions indiscriminately." Erdogan stressed that Stockholm's accession to NATO is also subject to the approval of the Turkish parliament. The leaders attending the two-day NATO summit in Vilnius will address the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war, its challenges to NATO, and measures to enhance the defense and deterrence capabilities of the military alliance. Sweden's bid to join NATO will also be on the agenda. Following Russia's launch of the war on Ukraine in February 2022, Finland and Sweden applied for NATO membership. While Turkey has approved Finland's membership in NATO, it is waiting for Sweden to fulfill its commitments under the agreement. To become a NATO member, Sweden requires the approval of all existing members, including Turkey, which has been part of the alliance for over 70 years and possesses the second-largest army within NATO. Erdogan also clarified that Sweden's NATO bid and Turkey's F-16 fighter jet purchase from the United States are not interconnected. In October 2021, Ankara requested F-16 fighter jets and modernization kits. The proposed $6 billion deal includes the sale of 40 jets and modernization kits for 79 warplanes already in the Turkish Air Force's inventory. The U.S. State Department has informally notified Congress of the potential sale. Nevertheless, influential lawmakers on Capitol Hill have vowed to block the deal unless certain demands are met, including making the purchase conditional on Turkey's approval of Sweden's NATO membership bid. Ankara argues that the fighter jets would not only strengthen Turkey but also NATO as a whole. While we continue to fight against terrorism, especially Daesh, in the world, we brought the Finland issue to our parliament, since Finland is not involved in terrorism in this regard. At this point, our parliament paved the way for its membership. And we're done. But the F-16 issue is not like that, the president explained. He added that he plans to hold further discussions with U.S. President Joe Biden on the sidelines of the summit, expressing hope that they can resolve the issue. Erdogan expressed concern that the matter has become associated with Sweden, emphasizing the distinction and stating that he would reiterate this to the relevant parties. During the summit, Erdogan stated that the leaders would review the decisions made at the Madrid summit, focusing on supporting partners, particularly Ukraine, and reinforcing the alliance's deterrence and defense structure. "We believe that ending the war with a fair and lasting peace as soon as possible will further facilitate Ukraine's NATO membership process," he remarked. He also stated that he would reiterate Turkey's call to allies who have imposed sanctions and restrictions on the country to promptly reverse these measures. "The restrictions and obstructions that some of our allies have unfairly imposed on our country are limiting us. Our country, which allocated nearly 2% of its defense expenditures in 2019, has now decreased to 1.30%, he added. Russian officials have hinted strongly that Moscow may block the extension of the agreement this month, citing unfulfilled provisions related to Russian exports. Turkey, internationally recognized for its unique mediation role between Ukraine and Russia, has consistently urged Kyiv and Moscow to resolve the conflict through negotiations.